2023 has got a shot at being the best year for gaming we've ever had so far. Yo, what's good? It's Mistora. Today I'm going to be giving y'all my top 10 most anticipated video games that are releasing in 2023. I'm talking about the games I'm looking forward to the most to just get my hands on and play, right? And that being said, this is just my opinion, right? None of this stuff is concrete. You might disagree with the games I have on this list. You might disagree with the order I have them ranked in or any combination of the two. Like I said, everyone has different tastes and that's cool. Feel free to even comment below and let me know what games you're looking forward to the most this year. Give me your own top 10. In addition to that, I am going to be excluding a bunch of games from this list because they don't have concrete release windows yet, or I just might find it unlikely that they are going to release in 2023 for one reason or another. A great example of this is Dragon Age Dreadwolf. Dragon Age is one of my most beloved video game franchises of all time, but I just don't think we're getting this game in 2023. So with that being said, we're gonna kick things off with some honorable mentions. These are in no particular order whatsoever, except for the last game. The last game I mentioned in this group is gonna be kind of like an unofficial number 11, if you will. Let's get it. Now for these honorable mentions, I'm not gonna be going into too much detail on these games, you know what I'm saying? Just gonna talk about them a bit. But my first one is Street Fighter 6 coming June 2nd. Now this is an honorable mention because I'm just not really good at traditional fighting games. I'm good at platform fighters and anime arena fighters, but not games like Street Fighter. I honestly suck at them. But Street Fighter 6 looks like it's gonna have enough really cool single player content to convince me to give this game a go. I'm excited. My next honorable mention is Star Wars Jedi Survivor coming March 17th. This game does look like it's gonna be absolutely dope. I'm just not a massive fan of Star Wars. I've seen all the movies and I've played KOTOR 1 and 2, but that's honestly it. However, I am still looking forward to this game a lot. Next up, we got Daymare 1994 Sandcastle. This should be coming out 2023. You know, the first Daymare was a really solid game for an indie survival horror, but it did have its issues. In spite of that though, it was still good enough to where I'm actually really excited for the sequel. Next up, we got Atomic Heart. This one is coming out February 24th. The overall art style and presence of this game it honestly pulls me in every time I see footage of it. It's only an honorable mention, however, because I just have other first-person shooters that I'm more excited for this year. And next up, for honorable mentions, we have Forspoken coming January 24th. It's actually crazy to me that this is an honorable mention because previous to that demo, I was not really excited for this game at all, but I actually ended up enjoying that demo a lot. So it's actually a day one purchase for me now. Looking forward to this one. And last but certainly not least is Redfall coming 2023. This is that game that I said would be above the rest in terms of honorable mentions. You know, think of it as like an unofficial number 11 for this list. I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on this game. You know what I'm saying? As I actually really like the art style of it. You know, it's that typical Arcane Studios style. It looks really cool, and anything aiming to go after that Left 4 Dead feel automatically has me interested. After watching some of the gameplay showcases, this game does seem to be trying to do something on its own. Yeah, it has some of that Left 4 Dead DNA in it, but that looks to be like at a baseline or on the surface level, much less though than something like Back 4 Blood. I really can't wait to actually play this game. Now to kick off my actual top 10, at number 10, I've got Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League releasing on May 26th. This game beats out Redfall for me because, for one, I'm just a really big DC fan. I love DC, I grew up on it, and the gameplay here just looks really intense when comparing those two games. Also, it's made by Rocksteady Studios. Come on, the OG developers for the Batman Arkham games. So I already know that this game is in excellent hands, and from the very first trailer, this game just captivated me with its style. I mean, it had Outcast playing in the background while the Suicide Squad was just going to work. I love that first trailer, and the gameplay that we've seen so far just looks really fluid, incredibly fun, and it has a lot of verticality to it. And add on top of that this is gonna be, Kevin Conroy's last performance for us Batman fans out there. Rest in peace to one of the greatest to ever do it in voice acting. And you put all that together, and I just really can't wait for this game to come out, and I hope they 100% just knock it out of the park. At number 9, I've got Lies of P, released in 2023. Look, Bloodborne is my favorite Souls game. Now notice I didn't say the best Souls game, objectively, that would be Elden Ring, right? But Bloodborne is still my favorite. And Lies of P gives me such Bloodborne vibes, while at the same time feeling like its own thing, that I can't help but just be insanely hyped for this game. The only reasons, some of the reasons that it's towards the bottom of this list is because, one, I'm just not all that crazy about the Pinocchio mythos and the setting, and two, I just prefer Souls games in which I can make my own character. Outside of that, everything I've seen on this game, from the trailer to straight up gameplay, tells me that I'm gonna have too much damn fun with this game once it comes out this year. At number 8, I've got Marvel's Spider-Man 2, releasing in 2023 with no hard release date just yet. Look, y'all, the story in Spider-Man for PS4, it just hit me in the feels, right? And then the story that we got in Miles Morales was also really dope, with Miles learning to be, his own superhero and standing alongside Peter Parker rather than just in his shadow. And I hope that this game also explores that theme some more, because I really loved that aspect of his game. And I mean, come on, Miles Morales is just in general my favorite Marvel character, right? He's half black and half Puerto Rican, just like me, I'm saying? The math is there, right? And on top of that, we're getting Venom? Like, come on, man, Spider-Man PS4 and Miles Morales were already just phenomenal games, what I'm saying? And so we already know that this game is in incredible hands, and that it's just gonna be insane with all, the best parts of both of those games. I'm sure it's gonna be cranked up to 11. I can't wait to see how they handle the gameplay in revolving around both of these Spider-Men at the same time. I'm sure it's gonna be absolutely incredible, and I cannot wait to play this game. At number 7, I've got Final Fantasy 16 coming out June 22nd. I know, the long-awaited next mainline Final Fantasy game. I know people have been waiting for this forever. Look, I'm incredibly hyped for this one, but it's just not as high on this list for me, as while everything we've seen so far looks absolutely insane. I personally truly love Final Fantasy for its role-play game aspects, what I'm saying? And I feel like that's not gonna be as present here. It looks much more like an action game just in terms of gameplay. But it does have Yoshi P at the helm, what I'm saying? The man, the myth, the legend, right? So I have no worries personally about just this game being good quality. I feel like it's gonna be absolutely amazing. I trust that dude so much in terms of game development and leading game development. And he's also a really big fan of Final Fantasy summons. That much is obvious with the trailers for this game. And I really love the summons in Final Fantasy, like the OG ones, like, Ifrit, Shiva, Ramuh. Like, I love those OG summons. So it's looking like I'm gonna get a lot of fan service personally. So I couldn't be happier, and I am so ready for Final Fantasy 16. At number 6, we've got Dead Island 2 releasing on April 22nd. Y'all don't understand, okay? I love zombie games. I love zombie games. I love zombie games. I know not too many years ago, we kind of had like an overabundance of zombie games where we seem to just be getting more and more of them. And there was actually kind of a burnout. People were like, oh man, kind of tired of zombie games. That was that one guy raising his hand going, no, I'm not. Let's keep bumping them out, right? And in Dead Island 1, I loved as a teenager. I absolutely loved that game. I loved its style. I loved its humor, Who do you voodoo, bitch? I love Dead Island 1, man. And it looks like a lot of that humor and that same style is gonna be present in this game, Dead Island 2, despite it taking so long in terms of development, right? And from the gameplay, I'm really glad we got to see gameplay, because it looks just as good as Dead Island 1, but just with some of that visceralness, some of that carnage, cranked all the way up to 11, right? So honestly, this game, I'm really glad I got to see gameplay of it. It's looking incredible. That Dead Island feel looks like it's still going to be there in the setting of LA. They seem to kind of nail the culture of LA as well. I'm sure it's going to be really fun for people who are from LA or live there. And yeah, man, Dead Island 2, I'm so ready for this game. I love zombie games, and Dead Island 2 looks like it's gonna be giving me everything I would have wanted from a sequel, and I hope that remains true once the game fully drops. And at number 5, I've got Starfield. Release date to be announced, but confirmed for 2023 at the Xbox showcase we had earlier this year. It made it this high on the list because I love RPGs. Y'all aren't hearing me. I love role-playing video games, right? And while the gunplay looked all right, looked decent, the RPG elements as well as the space exploration stuff just looked so cool, right? It looked honestly really fun to just dive into right now. Bethesda games, I really do enjoy myself personally, while I am able to also admit that, yeah, they can leave a lot to be desired in some areas, at least upon release when they fully come out. But Skyrim, man. When that game first came out, in spite of its flaws, it pulled me into this world. I feel like almost physically, right? Like that game became my life when I first picked up the controller and played it for at least a few weeks. These Bethesda games just have this method of pulling you into their world like no other games can, despite some of their technical shortcomings. And with Bethesda now falling under Microsoft and Xbox, I'm hoping that they're going to expect a greater standard of quality from them, and I hope that reflects in Starfield, because with everything I've seen so far, it's looking like it's right up my alley, and I cannot wait to get my hands on this game. Super excited. Number 4 is Hogwarts Legacy. This one comes out February 10th. From the gameplay that we've been shown so far, this game just looks like it's shaping up to be a huge labor of love. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very apparent from the footage that has been shown to us, trailers, gameplay, whatever, that a lot of love and care has gone into this game. Like, every time that we're shown more and more of this game, I just end up, you know, being more and more impressed with it, right? And if you would have told me that, oh, we're getting like a fully fledged open world, you know, Harry Potter game coming out sometime in the next few years, like a few years back, I wouldn't imagine any dev going this far with it, like taking it to this level, having all these systems put into it, right? Now, obviously, one thing I feel like it's missing is probably Quidditch, but outside of that, like combat, exploration, having your own, you know, fantastic beasts and where to find them, basically little pocket dimension to raise your beast in, classes, dueling, like there's so much from the Harry Potter universe put in here for Harry Potter fans that it's just mind-blowing and honestly impressive, and I'm super appreciative for what we have. Like, I feel like this game could come out, you know, minus a few of these systems, and it would still be incredible to then maybe add some of these systems in DLC later. But no, it is gonna have all of it from the get-go. I'm really impressed, and I'm so glad that this game is coming out in February towards the beginning of the year, because I can't wait to play it. It has to be in my hands, and it has to be here soon. At number 3, I've got Dead Space Remake. This releases on January 27th. Now, some of y'all might know that survival horror is actually tied for my favorite genre of video games. It's survival horror and RPGs. Those are my 2 favorite kinds of video games. The problem here is that I don't trust EA like at all, like whatsoever. I don't trust them as a developer, as a publisher, and it's mostly their fault that Dead Space has been, you know, dead for as long as it has. Like, it's mostly their fault that we did not get any more Dead Space games after Dead Space 3, after it failed critically, right? But with that being said, EA motive does truly seem sincere in wanting to create a remake that fans can look at and be like, yes, this is the Dead Space remake that I've always imagined myself getting. This is everything I wanted it to be. And while they've said that, they've also backed it up, because every time we've been shown gameplay footage or trailers, it seems like they're saying, yes, we want to make this game that you also want as longtime fans of the series. Like, Dead Space is massively important to me. I love survival horror, and I did grow up on Resident Evil, but I mostly played those games as a kid or watched my brother play them. I was a teenager when I played Dead Space for the first time, and that's when I truly felt myself as an independent person falling in love with survival horror games. So this game is obviously, as you can tell, is massively important to me. If there was any game that would probably crush me the most for actually not being good on this list, it might honestly be this one, just because of how important the original Dead Space is to me. But it looks like, from everything we've seen, the devs have assured us there shouldn't be anything to worry about. And I would honestly be surprised at this point if this game somehow ended up being truly bad. As long as EA Motive can keep EA as a publisher in check, and from interviews it sounds like they've been doing that, I think this game is gonna go ahead and be absolutely amazing. And at number 2, I've got Resident Evil 4 Remake. This releases on March 24th. Let me tell y'all why I'm so excited for this game. And you know, we're kind of keeping the survival horror thing going, but yes, Dead Space was the survival horror game for me, you know, as I just mentioned previously, but Resident Evil 4 is probably the survival horror game I've played the most out of any other one in the genre, right? Like, I did play it on GameCube, but when I got this game on Wii, I just completed it so many times. I did every achievement, unlocked everything. It has to be at least almost a dozen playthroughs of this game's, you know, just to get unlimited ammo, weapons and everything. And I just had a blast with it. And the reason that that's one reason, but another reason that this is so high on this list for me, we were shown recent gameplay and it looks absolutely incredible. Resident Evil 2 Remake is my favorite survival horror game of all time, period. And I really didn't know how they could outdo themselves in regard to that game when they're making Resident Evil 4 Remake. I was like, okay, it's gonna be kind of similar to RE2 Remake, but just kind of a little bit better in some areas. But no, it seems like they truly want to outdo themselves, and it looks like they're succeeding in doing so from what we've seen of this game so far. And I'm honestly really impressed with Capcom recently with their remakes. So that's why I'm so, all that together comes together for me just being so massively excited and anticipating Resident Evil 4 Remake. I worry much less about this game than I do Dead Space, because while Capcom has their issues, they've proven time and time again they can make a damn good remake. And I think Resident Evil 4 Remake is gonna continue that to keep on going. And the game that I'm most excited to play this year, my #1 most anticipated game for 2023, is Baldur's Gate 3, releasing in August of this year. Now, to those of y'all that already know me or have been on this channel a little while, this is not gonna be a surprise to you. But yeah, Larian Studios, I truly believe, crafts and creates the best RPGs of all time. I will go on record to say that Divinity Original Sin 2 is the best RPG game that's ever been created thus far. And being there for Baldur's Gate 3 since early access from the very beginning, I feel that once again, Larian Studios is going to create the best RPG game ever created up until whatever point, up until that point. Because, and it's not just with some of the other games I mentioned on this list, it's not just, oh, the gameplay we've been shown, the trailers. No, I've played it in early access. So many of us already have. And to anyone that's played this game in early access and loved it, they're gonna sing just as many praises as I have for this game. If you love RPGs, if you love Dungeons and Dragons or any combination of those two, this is not gonna wanna be a game that you miss. The story that you can craft just with the companions alone and some of the side content, not even doing the main story in this game, has already been incredible. And I can't wait to see how Larian kind of concludes so many different, branching plots that exist within this game. It's the game the RPG I've had the most fun playing, despite it only being in an early access state. Even to this date, it's the game I've had the most fun creating characters for, getting to know companions in. The only thing that even comes close when it comes to interacting with companions for Baldur's Gate is Dragon Age Origins for me and Dragon Age Inquisition. But this game has just blown everything out of the water. It's combined everything I've loved from so many different RPGs that I've played over the years and just thrown it into this pot, and then on top of that, excelled at all those various things. I can go on and on, but I'm not gonna do that. I think my rant, for my script, I didn't write anything for Baldur's Gate 3. All it says is just talk. That's all it says. So I think that right there should say enough about how much I'm looking forward to this game. And that's gonna do it, y'all. Those are my top 10 most anticipated video games for 2023. Like I said, I'm sure a lot of y'all's list is not gonna look exactly the same as mine is. You might have a lot of the same games, but in different order. That's cool. Go ahead and comment down below and let me know what games you're looking forward to the most for 2023. There might have been some games that I missed. A lot of them, like I said, were being excluded because I may not think or feel like some of those games are going to release this year. But still, nonetheless, let me know what you're hyped about. My name is Mr. I appreciate y'all for checking out the video. If you've made it to this point, be sure to like the video if you did. Go ahead and jump in them comments, let's get a discussion started, and feel free to subscribe so you don't miss out on gaming or nerd content videos like this. As always, it's been a pleasure. I'm gonna catch you on the next one. Be easy.